Question is, if the unwinding of the puts were acceptable by the counterparts which bought them, would you consider unwinding them at a reasonable price?
You're speaking specifically the equity put options we have?
I'm speaking about them, but it's just an example. I'm talking also of maybe reducing debts or doing other.
Yeah. Well, what we hope, of course, is that what we call the excess cash, which is cash beyond 20 billion, that we can put to work buying a business. But you can't do, one a week or one a month. So it's opportunistic, and I don't know whether the phone call that's going to result in the next deal will come in next week or it may come in a year from now. We will get calls and we will put money to work. We can't do it in an even flow, and we have virtually no debt. And if someone had told the two of us 50 years ago that we'd be able to borrow money in euros with a long duration at 1% or something like that, or we would have felt we would have ended up with a way different balance sheet than we have today. But money is so cheap that it causes people to do almost anything on the asset side, and we try to avoid doing that because we don't want to drop our standards too fast just because the liability side is costing us so little. But I don't think obviously if we could unwind a derivative trade on a basis where we thought we were mathematically ahead by a significant amount, we would do it. But I think that's very unlikely with the contracts we have now, so we'll probably, I think it's very likely they just run out over time. We carry a liability of well over, I think it's getting somewhere between 3.5 and 4 billion for something that has a settlement value today of 400 million. So it's very hard for us it's very hard for us on the other side of the contract to arrive at a price that we both would be happy with. We are not going to deleverage Berkshire. There isn't that much leverage to start with. I mean, the float really is essentially very close to permanent. I mean, it can decline a couple percent in a year, but it could also increase a few percent. So I see no drain on funds of any consequence from the float for as far as the eye can see, and we have very little debt out. So I would not want to pay down the debt we have now. Logically, we probably should take on more debt at these prices, but that's just not something that appeals to us. Maybe if we find a really big deal, we might take on a little more. I would like to at least have that as something I was thinking about. Charlie?
We'd love to have something come along where we actually felt a little capital constrained. We haven't felt capital constrained for a long time. It's a problem we'd love to have, something so attractive that
we'd stretch a little.
You would stretch a little. That would be glorious. And it could happen, by the way.
And it could happen.